A very warm welcome to all the people who come up to watch this video because this is my first video and I have tried to record an introduction before jumping into the podcast, into the conversation with the author Anuke. She's brilliant, by the way. And yeah, I am really grateful to her that she agreed to do this with me because I know I'm nothing, I'm nobody. She didn't have to do this, right? But instead, she chose me to do the conversation, and I'm really grateful for that. This is my first conversation with an author, so I was really nervous and like, but she has handled the conversation so well. She did much of my work, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, so this was the introduction, and before you jump into the video, this is her book, Like the Radiant Sun. And let me tell you one thing, you will not regret why buying and reading this book. I'm assuring you, I am taking that responsibility of your money, right? This is the place where you really want to invest your money in, because if you are interested in these ideas, if you are interested in exploring our ancient jewels, that wisdom, that knowledge, then this is the book for you. This is a story. This is a modern story that has been set up in modern India, right? But the theme are very ancient. The theme that been explored in this book are very ancient and very uh, fantastic storytelling, I must say. So yeah, you should try reading this book, and yeah, let's jump into the podcast. And please give your feedback down below because I really need that feedback, not to boost up my algorithm or something, just to just to learn from you guys also. So yeah, this is my conversation with author Anu K. Starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So you're based in Bangalore.
Yeah, right now I am in Bangalore, ma'am.
I was born in Bangalore. I'm from
Yeah.
Bangalore.
Oh, yeah, I read your book, and in that about author page, I read your description. And I also read your blogs that says
Yes.
you were born in Bangalore.
Yeah. So you speak Kannada?
No, ma'am, I'm trying to learn. I just learned few
Okay.
words here. Yeah. Uh, so, ma'am, thank you so much for doing this because this is pretty new for me. I'm starting this with you, and I'm pretty nervous also. You can see at my face just so. And I read your book. It was enlightening for me because I'm from Bihar, ma'am, as I have told you, and I didn't know the full history of Nalanda University. That how that invasion happened at that point of time. I have read in our school textbook a little description about it, but not this full-fledged. Why did Bakhtiar Khilji invaded the Nalanda University, and what's the reason behind his invasion? So, first of all, I'll start with this simple question: that why did you write like the Radiant Sun?
That's a very important question, interesting question, actually. Why did I write the book?
Yeah.
It was, see, I am living in Germany at the moment. Yeah, I'm talking to you from Germany. So we are 7,000 kilometers away from each other at the moment.
Yeah.
So, so I've been living in Europe for many years now. So writing this book was like coming home for me. Yeah, I wanted to write about India, on India, about the spiritual journey that I took myself personally. So that's how it began. So this is a long story, but I'll make it short. Yeah. I'm a IT professional. I have a master's in computer applications. So I was working in the IT industry for quite some years. So I thought in the beginning, writing computer programs is creative. In a way, it did satisfy me because making computer software work, and when it works, you create something. So it was like I thought I'm creating something, but the IT companies and the corporate culture and the politics was not for me. So I had to do something else to make myself happy that I've done something. So that was one reason why I wrote this book. And the second reason is like, when I came to Germany, many people asked me questions about India.
Yeah.
So you're from India, you're Indian. So what happened and what is this, what is that, about history, about culture, about many things. So at that time, I didn't know anything about India. And I thought, oh shit, I don't know anything about India.
Yeah.
I used to read only IT books, technical books, writing technical documents. So I started studying, reading history books and studying about India, only to answer questions to these people. And then there was no end to it. I couldn't stop it. So I read and read and I read many books. And that's how I came across Nalanda. It's very fascinating, isn't it? How
Yes.
important Nalanda was at that time. How much important is for us to know our ancestors, what they did.
Yeah.
So this was the second reason why I wrote this book. There's one more important reason, and that is my identity. Who am I? Where
Okay.
do I come from?
Okay. So
yeah, please.
So if anyone now asks you further that what's your history, where do you come from, you just say, read my book, and you will know. So maybe it took you 10 years to write the book, right? You started it. I read your blog, and on that you have mentioned that it took 10 years to write this book and keep edit, read it, and all those process that you have gone through. Tell me about that whole journey, because from masters in computer science, like it's a very different field at all, and from that transition to become a writer, it's very kind of challenging itself, because many people come and say that, oh, like what do writers do? They don't make enough money and all. That financial perspective also that comes into play. So how did you face all that challenges and people? Because in our culture, Indian family, how do they react if we transition to these kind of artistic field? So how did you face that?
Oh. That's an interesting question, actually. It didn't bother me what others thought about me. Okay. So in my family, although you're living in Bangalore, so South Indians has to be either software engineers or medicine. They have to be either engineers or doctors. So my family are more. I have both. My relatives are either engineers or doctors. So naturally, I had to do something like that. So it was just not me. Actually, it was not me. I had to do something different in my life. And there was a call. I didn't know I have this creative thing in me. It came to me much later in life. So once I started writing, then I realized how fun it is. It just was very interesting process, a journey, a transition. Yeah. So I went to university again in Germany, in Stuttgart. I studied creative writing, journalism, marketing, visual concepts, history of books, and all these things I studied, and then I was prepared to start my journey. But in the beginning, I wrote only diaries. I was writing what came to my mind. I was just writing diaries. And then I go back and look at the diary. I thought, okay, something is happening there. Something is developing there. That's how the idea was born. And then I couldn't stop writing. I had to write it. And the 10 years, you said 10 years, I have written 3 books in 10 years, actually. This is my first book. 1 is published, but 3 books together into one. So 3 manuscripts, stories about 3 manuscripts into one book was a huge, fat book. I thought something is not working. I cannot put 3 manuscripts there. It would be very high concept. Yeah. So I split into 3.
So it became trilogy kind of, no?
Yeah. So
So
this is one book about one manuscript and one story. So I divided into three. Yeah.
yeah, it's fascinating. I'll wait for your next book.
Thank you. I hope it will be there next year. Let's see if everything
Okay.
goes well.
And you talked about every time you visit India, India seems a little different from last visit. So,
Yeah.
so when did you last time visited India?
Last year.
Last year. So,
Yes.
what is one takeaway that you can talk about? The last time that you noticed here that had changed over the course?
Last time I came under very sad circumstances because my father was very ill. He was in the hospital. So he passed away last year. So it was a different context at that time. It was difficult for me emotionally. So to answer your question, what is the one thing? I feel India is going through a lot of transition. It's changing a lot. On the positive side, there's a lot of development. There's a lot of Bangalore has grown like
Yeah.
10 times, I guess. Yeah?
Yeah.
But on the sad part, I don't see that smile on the face I used to see when I was there. There's been a lot of stress, tension, traffic. So
Yeah, traffic is great.
so what happened to the happiness of people that I used to see, that I recall? I thought Indians were very peaceful, happy people. That's how I know them. That is a little bit disturbing. On the positive side, food.
Yeah.
I love food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So what's your favorite dish from India, like Karnataka?
Bisi belebat.
Oh, I have tried that.
Yes.
It's really nice. Yeah, we get prasad, no, basically bath.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah. I went to a temple and I got that prasad.
okay. Did you like it?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
But I love dosa here.
Yes.
Yeah,
So many types of dosas. I
yeah.
love
So
them.
many. First, I
Yes.
came here. I just read the menu that there are these many types of dosa. In Bihar, I ate only one dosa, and here like full buffet of dosa.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, ma'am, you like told the story in very non-linear fashion. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not very like this happened, this happened. No, you went to tell the backstory of a character and backstory of manuscript and the
Mm-hmm.
that palm leaf, that how uh, does that palm leaf being created by people. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so, uh, was it a creative choice to uh, tell this kind of storytelling, like in a non-linear fashion, or just did it just happen?
It didn't happen. It was a deliberate choice to do it that way. I guess when there is time travel in the story, when the story goes back and forth, back in like the Radiance and goes back to 12th century and before that during the time of Rig Veda and then comes back to today, non-linear process is the best way, I believe, because it gives you as a writer, it gives you the freedom to narrate the story the way you want, and you have the freedom to end the way you want. So that freedom for a writer is very important, but especially when there is time travel and yeah, going back and forth in time. For that kind of a story, non-linear, this was a deliberate process. I hope you enjoyed reading it.
Yeah, I love these kind of non-linear. I love Christopher Nolan types of storytelling.
Okay.
Not yeah. So I really enjoyed it. And that index page, ma'am, it seems pretty
Mm-hmm.
interesting that you named it after all those characters or either big places. So what about that?
To give a hint to the readers that the plot, the story doesn't take place in just one place. So you move. The protagonist goes from Delhi to Bangalore to
Mangalore to Kerala.
yes,
Yeah.
and Mount Kailash. Yeah?
Yeah.
So he goes from one place to the even Venice in Europe. He comes
Yeah.
to Venice. Yeah. So this is to give the reader a first idea, it's like creating interest for the readers. I hope it did to you.
Yeah, it seemed very interesting to me when I just look at the pages and like look at the index page. It's all the character names there. So I thought like it's a weird. I'd feel like it's a different. I didn't see anything like that before. Okay, you name index page after your characters or on the places that your character visit. So that's pretty interesting to me. That it appeared so different to me, and I liked it because somewhere it just connects because when you go through the index page, you read all those places and the character, and when that characters get introduced in the story, you feel that familiarity. That's I know this character, I know this place.
Another reason is that, okay, suppose you're reading in between and you want to go back and what happened in Delhi at the archaeological, then you can go to the Delhi chapter and maybe you can search it and find. That's another reason to be able to, find what you is looking for. It's just an idea.
Yeah. And Varanasi, ma'am, what about that? That you chose your first chapter, Varanasi. Yeah. So, is there any metaphorical thing that Varanasi is called the oldest city, one of the oldest city, and it was built by Shiva himself? So, was that a metaphor in that storytelling, or I'm just thinking too much?
See, when I want to write about Shiva, then only two things comes to my mind. One is Varanasi, the other one is Mount Kailash. If I talk about Shiva so much, Shiva is a very important character in the book. She has a female avatar and she comes down, and if I don't talk about these two places, what can I talk about Shiva? I mean, he is the Lord and he is the divine. These places are so fascinating. He built it, like you said.
Yeah.
And he resides in Mount Kailash. So it has to be that. There can't be anything else. So Varanasi has to be that if Shiva is there.
Yeah.
And the other thing is also Buddhism. Buddhism close to Varanasi, Sarnath. Yeah? Two important reasons. Buddha visited the place. It's such an important historical place.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's fascinating to write about it.
Have you been to Varanasi?
I haven't.
No?
No. Not
yet. I have been there a couple of times. My friends study at their BHU, so I have been there. And it's like you said, it's fascinating. It seems different. Like you feel different when that Ganga Aarti happens in the evening. You just goosebumps.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has that power. The place has that power.
Yeah.
The history has that power. Even today.
And there are some places that connects with Mahabharata times. That those Pandavas came there and stayed there for a while.
Yes.
I know what significance of Mount Kailash, as you described Varanasi, and so what's impact on us of Mount Kailash, and you, like in story in your blog or something, I just read that people do not go to Mount Kailash. They do not go to that summit there. So tell me about that. I don't know. So I want to learn from you.
See, they believe that Shiva is there even today on top of Mount Kailash. That's his home. Okay. So the mount itself, it's like a summit. So you're not supposed to, because Shiva resides there, they believe that one should not climb up the mountain and go to the summit. So all you can do if you go up the mountain is go around that peak thing where Mount Kailash is, around the lake. That's all you're allowed to do for reasons of belief, tradition. People believe that. So that is also fascinating. Even today, he's there, they say. So if he is there, and if I can't write about him, what else do I write? That is the first book you have to write about Lord Shiva, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, the other fascinating thing why I write about all Shiva is that when I read Rig Veda first time, the way the Rig Veda is written is as if Shiva lived at that time. So he was there, present. And then we have this concept of avatar, that you heard about it. Yeah, see, they always come down whenever there is a problem. So Shiva is always there. So my intention of bringing in Shiva is also because I was imagining, how would it be if I meet Shiva today? So I go to India and I come across Shiva. How would he come? How would he meet me? How does he look like today? Would he look like the same statue what we have, that meditation with dreadlocks? How would it be? And what would I tell him, or what would he tell me?
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to portray. This is how, as if I met Shiva.
Yeah, it's
as
fascinating.
If Rohan met Shiva. Sorry.
Yeah. And it's fascinating, na? We keep bursting our gods, and we do not know what will I ask and what will I talk, what our conversation would be when when the actual God will appear before us. So we do not know about that, and that's a very fascinating thing that you and also you put Shiva as a female character here, and it also feel like in start I felt this character has something going that we do not that you as a writer don't want to tell us, but I was guessing that see something. That character, whenever she appears first at Varanasi Ghat, when that murder happened of that Rishi. So I thought this character is something. We are getting, like right now we are not getting what this character is about. But when I professor said she is Shiva, and that time I got goosebumps. That was the first time it was mentioned she is avatar of Shiva. Previously, it was like, okay, she knows Marmakala very well. She knows this fighting style and all. But that was the first time it was mentioned in the book. Okay, she is Shiva. She is avatar of Shiva. And it literally gave me goosebumps. And
don't you think we are revealing too much to our viewers who hasn't read the book?
Yeah. Okay. We should keep it to ourselves then. Okay, so and you mentioned in a conversation between police officer and Rohan about God, right? And there is a line I'll paraphrase that God is a perfect being pervading life and death. He has reached freedom through contemplation and meditation. So this is how we should define God, or we are defining God here, right? Or we're doing something else.
Can you read that line again, slowly?
Okay. God is a perfect being, pervading life and death. He has reached freedom through contemplation and meditation.
That's how we imagine God, or at least I do imagine God to be like that. And that's how he's portrayed, Shiva, isn't it? Don't you think so?
Yeah.
He is sitting there as a statue. Most of the time he's meditating. Is he doing anything else? He's always meditating.
Yeah.
And that's how I see God. That's how I try to reach him, through meditation. I do meditation as well. Okay. And it's very important message, I guess, to follow God, to be like that. That's what I got it from Rig Veda.
Yeah, it appeared very. Yeah. And it also appeared to me like it's a very simple thing to just God is a perfect being, and he pervaded death and like whole cycle of death through his meditation and contemplation. And I thought, this is the perfect thing that you can write about God. When you imagine God, this is how we imagine him. Or in our culture, there are a lot of gods, so we imagine them. They are beyond death and life.
Yeah. But if you read the book carefully, there's a statement where God, where the woman with red lock hair, Neela, she says that it's not easy being God.
Yeah.
you have to go through a lot. It's not
Lot.
easy because.
Yeah.
So, what is perfect being? So that's another question. Yeah, that is open.
Yeah, that's the open question. And yeah, I'm talking about Marmagala, and it's so vast and complicated. Like
Yeah.
many of that teachings got eradicated because of several instances that happened in our history. Because it's so vast and complicated. So, did you feel any kind of responsibility or pressure to deliver it right? Or
Of course, because Mamakala exists in reality.
yeah,
It is there in Kerala and partly in Tamil Nadu as well. So I don't know if you've read the blog. In reality, I met a person in Kerala who was a Mama Yogi. Yeah. And that's how it inspired me to write about Mama Kala. So I read a book, Kalari Paya 2, and then I got the details of, I've put the acknowledgement in the book towards the end. If you can see the book, here's the book.
yeah.
And the book is in the reference. So when the body becomes all eyes, it's called a Kalari Payattu, written by Philip Zarilli. Yeah. So that book gave me a lot of insight as well, along with the person I met in Kerala personally. So it was a great responsibility to get it right. And also to see what the British colony has done to India, and there's so much knowledge is lost. Today, nobody in open practices Mamakala for various reasons. So one of the reasons is British had banned at that time. So it's lost. So many people haven't heard about it.
But now there are people who putting out videos of Mama Kalaripat, practices of Kalaripat out there. And I get to know about Kalaripat from this actor. Have you ever listened? His name is Vidyut Jambal. So
No.
he does a lot of Kalaripat. He is an Indian actor. He works in Bollywood and even in Tamil cinema he works. So he propagates Kalaripat. And he is considered to be number one martial artist at this time in the world. Yeah, he's above Jackie Chan and all. Yeah, and he is very much into advocating about Kalaripat, that it's mother of all martial arts and all.
Yes.
So I got to know about Kalaripat and this form of martial art by him. And when I read when I was reading this book, I was like, yeah, I know this thing. This is Kalaripat. Yeah, so it's very interesting. And ma'am, that conversation about we think about God at the last stage of our life. So the Rohan says, no, we should not think about God at the last stage of our life. Right. So when do you think that would be appropriate age where we should start thinking about the God and all? Because
I don't think there is a particular age, but don't you think I was born and brought up in India. So as a child, we are always told to go to the temple. We are told stories of Shiva, Krishna, Rama, these Hanuman, and these stories are what I grew up with. Huh?
Yeah.
So what is it that thinking of God is always there, isn't it? So you don't have to start thinking of it, because that is so intrinsic part of Indian culture. So this is India, where you don't stop thinking, or there's no need to start thinking. So it's always there.
Yeah, it's in our gene.
Yes. And people tend to avoid saying, this is for old people. That's my experience. Somebody told me that, so it has stayed with me. So that's how people talk, but there's no need. There's no need to start or stop. It's always there. That's how I would put it.
Yeah, because since childhood, we hear all those stories of Ram, Krishna, Shiva, and all. Yeah,
everyone knows about it.
Yeah, everyone knows.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about Sanskrit. That how Sanskrit over the course of time it fade away. Right. why do you think that transition happens? We adopted Hindi or any other languages like Kannada and all. Why did this transition happen that you have a very high quality language that is Sanskrit it's considered to be a language of gods, and somehow we forget it, somehow we are not using it anymore? Isn't it very like birth thinking about Sanskrit?
Because Sanskrit itself is a very complicated language. Everyone wanted to read, everyone wanted to write. So the language became easier. That's what happens in the history. Even Greece, Greek language, nobody speaks to that extent. The old Greek doesn't exist, and Latin, same thing. Yeah. So to simplify, the languages became simplified. I guess that's why many languages were born, and the old languages, which were complicated, eased out. Many versions became, and I believe, my personal opinion, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a language expert, but that's how many other languages came into existence. That's what my understanding.
I have studied Sanskrit till class 10th, and it was the hardest subject that I have ever come across.
I have
but although I got 95 marks in my 10th.
Okay, that's great.
I don't know how did I get that. And
Well done.
yeah, thank you. And there is something about Aryan race. After going through the book, I wanted to understand where did they come from and what's their history, Aryans. And you talked about them in books during a conversation. So, what's your knowledge about Aryans?
Aryans was a race that came from. That's what my understanding is. They came from northwest, and they came to India, and they were Dravidians before them, already occupied in India, who were moved down to the south, and the Aryans became an intrinsic part of India. There was a mixed culture as well, so there was not a clear I'm Aryan, I'm Dravidian, although there is a tendency more towards the south and towards the north is more Aryan. There was a mixed, and there's been a mixed everywhere and spread across India. That's what my belief is. And the Aryans the word Arya means the learned one, and they wrote languages, they wrote Mahabharata, they brought this culture. And the Dravidians had also some things with them, and they mixed together, and today is what we call it. So there's no clear cut who wrote what, who is Aryans, who is Dravidians. It's all mixed together. But there is still a tendency of two types of tribes that have come together, and this is what we call India today, or Bharat.
Yeah, now Bharat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know this your interest in ancient history, mythology that you have got after you moved to Germany, right? So,
Yeah.
So which are the books you explored? Can you talk about that?
For this particular book, like The Radiant Sun, I completely contribute to Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Upanishad. So these are the books that I read, and I thought I should write something as if it is Vedic times. How would it be if it is come back today, or if there is a glimpse of it and we don't see it, or do we see it? So that's what these books inspired me to write, like The Radiant Sun. Mahabharata, especially, a wonderful classic. It's a great epic.
Yeah, it's considered to be the India's oldest literature.
It's a very good one. That's my favorite.
Mahabharata. Have you read that C. Ramagopalachari's Mahabharata?
No, I haven't.
You should read that one. It's very good. It's his version of Ramayana and Mahabharata as really good.
Okay, thanks.
And can you talk about a little bit more about Mahabharata, because that's your favorite book till now? So can we explore a little more on that?
It's an epic. It's a book that doesn't have a hero or a villain clearly. It is every character has some good thing in him and her, and a bad thing in him or her. Yeah, that is Mahabharata. And everyone has a battle. Just like today, we all have a battle to fight. And same in the characters of Mahabharata also. Everyone has something they're fighting for, something they want to acquire, something they want to achieve. So this is a very interesting, well-written, the most favorite of all books written by Vyasa. Such a great thing. And he writes about how well he writes towards the end, how they just renounce, give up everything, and the way the ending happens. Amazing. And Draupadi and the Pandavas and the Kauravas and how they fight with each other for power. That goes on even today, isn't it? We all fight for name, fame, and power. That's what happens even at that time. And how nicely he has carved through the minds of every character. Everyone has a place on its own. And Krishna, and the way he is divine, and the way he blends through the other people, and how he shows the way and what needs to be done. And Bhagavad Gita is like extremely modern, even for today. Although it was written way back, so many years back, it appeals to every modern day human being who reads it. It is that modern, and it's timeless, and it's going to be there forever. That is Indian culture. That is Indian story. That's what I wanted to that's why I call my book, like the Radiant Sun, as Neo Veda, as a new genre, write about the Vedic times for the modern day readers.
Yeah.
So Mahabharata has been a great influence as well. So there is no hero, one superhero, or anything like that. We all are doing our best. We all have our good side and bad side. That's how I see it. That's how I take it.
Who is your favorite character from Mahabharata?
My favorite character is Karna.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because he's a poor guy, and he's gone through a lot unfair.
Yeah, a lot.
Yes.
And his friendship with Duryodhana, it was like, he stood, he knows the truth that he is not right, he is doing wrong at all. And instead, he stand beside Duryodhana all the time. And that really takes your heart. And what about Arjun? What do you think about Arjun?
I mean, he's a nice guy, but a little bit on the luckier side, because he was sponsored and he was favored and he was pushed. He was made the favorite of Dronacharya, and Ekalavya is an important episode where it's unfair to Ekalavya, the way Arjun was favored over there. That's why I feel Karna is a better character. My opinion.
Yeah. You have lived in 8 countries, right? 8? Yeah, no?
Okay, I haven't counted actually. Okay, if you say so.
No, in one of the conversation I listened to you where you told.
Okay.
So I was talking about readers. Where do you think are the most intelligent readers? In which country?
See, storytelling has been there for ages, just like we spoke about Mahabharata.
Yeah.
It's been written. So storytelling, arts, culture, drama, dance, it's been there for a very long time. So it depends. There are some I believe India makes around 800 movies a year. So there are 1 or 2 that are really extremely good ones, talented ones. It's always the case when you make so many movies. There are so many trash, but the good ones are always there. Few are really good, really talented movies are there, so you cannot say that. So there is no one country where extremely, you cannot categorize like that. But as far as the readers are concerned, in Germany, people read a lot. If you go on the metro, they always have a book with them, and it's unlike India, where people talk a lot. In the metros are relatively quiet. People don't talk too much. They're quiet, reading, most of them. So people read a lot in Germany. In Hungary, I've seen people reading. In UK, my God, they read a lot, a lot. So there are category book readers as well as non-readers. So readers read wherever they are. US, definitely. So there are readers everywhere. In India, at least the people I know, they don't really read so much. But there are readers as well, whom I met regularly reading. So every country has its own readers and non-readers.
Yeah.
You can say that.
What are your highlight and low light as being an author?
Oh, in what sense?
In
What
like
sense?
in your creative journey as being an
Yeah.
author, like what were the time that you thought it's the best time of my life as a creative person, and there must be a time where you felt very low, very distorted in a sense.
I have published only one book so far, although I've written 3 more. So it's very early to talk about it, but I've been pretty confident and that I would continue doing this, and I hope it goes better. So there has been many low, because you feel that, okay, what am I writing? Is it going to reach people? Are people going to read it? Will my book be published? Will my book reach people? Where do I start? Who do I talk to? How do I talk to? And so many things going on in parallel. But as you go, if you're confident and if you want to do it, be authentic and just carry on. That's what I said to myself. And let's see where I'll be. Maybe I'll be talking to you in another 5 years' time, and all my 3 books will be published and everyone has read it, or India is reading it. Let's hope that.
Yeah,
So
waiting for those books.
so I think positive.
Okay. So, ma'am, how like what's your work process? Like how, let's say there is an idea. So, how do you go about that idea to make it like materialize?
To write a novel, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have an idea, the first thing you should do is write it down. What is that idea that you have? Write it down, because that idea might look different tomorrow. It's not bad if it looks different tomorrow, but you can change as well. But write down all your ideas every day, even if it changes, write down the changes. And then you need to strongly think about the plot, the structure, the story. Now start the storytelling. How would you like to tell the story? What is it that you're writing about? What does the characters, now define the characters. What does the characters do? Who are they? What are their motivations? How am I going to tell the story? So the idea to writing goes a long way. And as they say that 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. So you need to work and make it happen, the stories. That's how it is. And you get into each character's shoe and see, what would I do if I was Rohan? What would I do if I was the avatar of Shiva? What would I do if I was the professor? What would I do if I was the Kalari Payattu expert or Marmakala expert? What would I do? How would I react in this situation? You have to be able to imagine that. And once you start writing, the first draft would look so bad, but don't be disheartened. Go ahead and make it nice. So every day, a little bit, small step at a time, baby step at a time. And then ultimately one day it will be finished and shining. It might take 10 years like it did to me, but it's going to ultimately happen. But you have to stick to that discipline every day, doing a little bit. Even in the night, sometimes I used to get up and, oh, that was not right. Rohan has to do this, not that, So that was a mistake. I did note down somewhere. Next day, again, go back to your writing desk. So it's a long journey. It's a long process. So it evolves every day a little bit. But you should be determined and wanting to do that. That's how the idea, what you have started, becomes a novel, and it takes a lot of effort and ultimately, but it's possible. You can do it. I did it.
Yeah. And you did it fantastically.
Thank you.
And ma'am, do you write daily?
Yes, almost every day. Of course, I take breaks, but I do make a point. If I'm not writing, I'm thinking about it every day.
It's like a full-time job. It's
You can say
24 hour
that.
job. Yeah.
Yes, even while doing something else, if I'm working something else, I still keep thinking about this. So what happened to him? It's not okay. It's not working. It's not, Rohan shouldn't say that. He said wrong thing at the wrong time. The dialogue is not working. So it goes on.
So you make notes while doing all those things that, okay, Rohan should not do that. So let's make
Yes.
it. You do
Yes.
that?
Yes, of course. I have a notebook, either like this, or I have my phone, my phone, either on the phone. If I don't have a notebook, then I have a phone with me. You can note it down so that I don't forget. I do that.
Do you get writer blocks?
Of course it happens. Then I just go for a walk, or I just postpone it for next day. When I go to bed, sleep, and get up again, then you get ideas. If you go for a walk, the fresh air, I get ideas. So either walk or sleep, and then it gets over it.
So do you listen to music while walking or just let
I
your thoughts
love
free?
to listen to music while writing. I listen to music. Music inspires me to write. Music is very important part of my life. It is, while writing this, there is South Indian album called Mahalila by Shiva. I don't know if you've heard about it. And this is about Shiva. And I don't know how many times I've listened to that while writing this book, like the Radiance. I've always listened to music. It's that music inspires me to write.
And do you read, beside those mythological books, historicals, any contemporary writers you read?
Contemporary, I don't. At the moment, I'm reading Handmaid's Tale for the second time by Margaret Atwood. I love to read Sherlock Holmes. I don't know how many times I've read it. I've read Agatha Christie and Edgar Allan Poe. These are my favorite writers. I read them again and again if need be.
So these are thriller, no?
Yeah, the murders and like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's a mystery thriller.
Yeah.
What advice would you give anyone who is starting their career as a writer?
You can do it. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. But you should be consistent in doing it. You should do it every day. You should read a lot. You should write a lot. You should know what interests you, because you're going to stay with that for a very long time. So if you want to stay with that for a very long time, it has to be interesting for you. You have to stick to that. So learn the art of writing, read books, read your favorite books, and see how other authors have handled certain situations. And, if you go for creative writing class, it's like painting. If you want to learn painting, they tell you how to hold the brush, how to mix colors, what paper to use, and whether you have to choose oil paint or watercolor paints, how to do oil painting. So writing is something similar. In the creative writing class, they tell you exactly how to begin, what are the basics, do's and don't do's. But then ultimately, it's you who has to adapt your own way of writing, and you should do what fits you.
Yeah.
you have your own way to do that. Every writer, I believe, has his or her own way of writing and developing skills.
Okay.
Any artists, like singing, if you start singing, they can only tell you how to sing and whether it's right or wrong, but it's ultimately you have to sing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it is writing as well.
And ma'am, have you read Amish Tripathi books?
I haven't read any of his book, so sorry to disappoint you. No.
No, I was, because it's similar to your interest. Yeah, it's mythology. It's about Ram, Sita. He wrote 3 books trilogy on Shiva only.
Okay.
It's Immortals of Meluha, The Oath of Putras, and there is another one. So
No, I haven't.
yeah,
Right.
do you watch films? You talked about there are a lot of films from India are really, really good. So what was the best film that you saw last year? Triple R? RRR?
I'm so sorry. I haven't watched that. I mean, in Germany, I don't get to watch too many Indian movies.
Okay.
So I can't name one. You want to know about Indian movies, correct? That's what you want to know. Nothing is coming to my mind. Indian movie, what did I watch?
Okay, any international movie?
I haven't watched Indian movie for quite some time.
Okay.
But any movie, nothing's coming to my mind.
Okay. So any books you like to recommend?
Oh, read my book, like The Radiant Sun.
Yeah, of
I
course.
hope you like it.
Yeah, I read it. I read it twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have highlighted all over the books because some of the conversation among those characters and some of the things I just make notes of question because I've been through 2 times, so I made all those markers all over the book. So I just went there and picked all the questions that I want to ask because those were the things that intrigued me. So,
Okay, I can make out you've really read it. Thank you so much for reading my book.
yeah, I liked it a lot, man.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing this stuff. Thank you for your time. Like, I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I understand I'm the first guest you have.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish you all the best. I
Thank
hope
you, ma'am.
there'll be many more guests, and I hope your show becomes a great success. And
Thank
it
you
was
so much.
nice talking to you. Thank
Same
you.
here, man. Thanks.
Thanks.